there was a lot of, when this came out, all the Celtics fans were like, awesome, like paying your guys, opening up the money, like they're definitely like paying their guys. They're willing to like make the payments to keep the team together. And if you know the cap, like I do, it's like, okay, yes, but that's like still like it's not the team staying together still. Like this is like there's still, if the team were to stay together and they were like re-signed like Derek White to like a $20 million contract, which is probably a little cheap for Derek White, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like if he has like a similar series,
they're $20 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's going to get like at least 25 to 30.
That's what I'm saying. That's on the low end, you know, like with that in 2 years, the Celtics are going to be paying, their payroll is going to be $500 million for 1 year. Like $500 million. Like 300 million of that is just luxury tax payments. That's nothing to do with the salaries. So one of Jaylen Brown, Jrue Holiday, or Kristaps Porzingis, maybe even two, are not going to be on the roster in 2 years. They're doing this for this postseason. Next year. Yeah. The team is going to stay together next year. After that, something is going to happen. So that's what this tells me about that. I tried to put the bad things on you and say that we're going to trade Jrue to the Sixers for Anthony Melton and two of the Clippers first.
I don't even think that works.
No, it's not going to in 2 years. Yeah, it's not going to in 2 years.
No, I don't think you could trade him into our cap space.
Day before the season.
Day before the offseason?
Day before the season, which I guess you could do because they wouldn't do a sign.
We would have to sign someone, and then we can't trade him until December.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm fairly certain we can't. If you had signed him before the season to this extension, you would have been able to just trade him into cap space. Like you could trade Jaylen into cap space after the season. I think.
And this is like very on brand for like how Zarin and like Brad Stevens have been doing. Like their thing as a front office together has been like extending guys. Like getting guys, extending them, like that's their thing. So that, like makes sense. But I'm just saying this team is not going to be together very long. It's more like it's going to be like Jaylen to Houston in like 2025 or Atlanta or something like that. Whoever like is willing to give them like a competent player, and it's it might just be Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks, and whoever else. Like
that's certainly expired.
Young guys.
My thought on it was basically exactly what you said about like I think this is for this year and next year.
Yeah.
And then they probably look at it and they say every contract seems insane right now when they first get signed because you're like Jrue Holiday got $140 million deal or whatever it was.
Right.
And you're like, holy shit. And then you break it down and you're like, all right, well, he's making $33.5 million on that, which if the cap continues to rise, which it might not, as we've discussed before, because of the new TV deal and stuff, and it might actually stagnate a bit. But if it does continue to rise, in a few years, the cap will be like $200 million.
Yeah.
And if the cap's $200 million and a guy's making $33 million, that's like a above average starter.
Yeah.
I don't think Jrue Holiday and
$200 million. It like I think the most it could raise up in the meantime is the cap would be like 150. And like the luxury tax ends up.
Well, it's already like 149 this offseason.
I think it's 141. Because I think it's 130 is the one for this year, and the upcoming year is like 141, I think. Hold on. Let me
2024 NBA cap space. You might be right.
I should, because this is like the only thing I actually know. But I'm pretty sure it's low 40. Yeah, 141.
142.
Yeah. They dropped it in late January, the projection, so it's 141.
All right, so 142, and let's say it raises year over year by 10%, right?
Yeah.
Isn't 10%? Isn't it capped at 10?
10% is pretty high. They didn't go up
8%?
10% this year. Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So if it goes up 8% on 140,
never mind. It was 3.6 if it raises to 1 this year. So it's actually more like 4%.
Oh, 4%? It's only going up?
Yeah, it's only going up 4% because it was 136 this year. It's going to be 141 according to the new projections. So,
jeez.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah. Okay. So maybe let's say it gets to like
160, maybe in a
160.
Couple of years.
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's say 160. Then then, like that's a fifth of your salary cap, as opposed to right now. It's probably like a 3/4 of your salary cap. And
Yeah.
I think they probably think of it like in a few years, like Jrue will probably still be decent and we can trade him with picks, or if that doesn't work, then we can flip Jalen, like you said, and then we can get value back. But it's a lot of money on the books, and the Derek White deal is really going to be the interesting one, because like the Celtics are lucky that Derek White's a free agent next summer and not this summer.
Yes.
Because if he was a free agent this summer, the Sixers would definitely be throwing like $35 million a year at him. And I don't think he's in the position to walk away from $35 million a year for being, you know, a very good player, but a role player at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I think that, did you see all the people that were like, good for Jrue to get his money before the playoffs?
That was the next thing I was gonna say. Drew's agent needs a fucking raise, man, because that's the perfect time to extend Jrue right now before he shoots 47 true shooting in these playoffs coming up here.
There's certainly this is certainly the most you should go all in, but also there's finally is some downside to like you didn't have any contracts on your books before that felt like they were immovable. Like even the Rob contract was just so small that you were like, there's no way this is immovable.
Yeah.
It feels like between Jalen and Jrue, you have like $70 to $80 million at least worth of money in a few years that like could be tougher to move. But as we know, and as D Bronx points out in the comments, someone will bail the Celtics out of the fucking contracts like they always do.
Jalen was an easier one to talk yourself into because even though it's $60 million, like he is like an all NBA guy. I know Kat is also technically and Trey were technically all NBA guys, but like Jalen might be a 2-time all NBA guy.
If the BMM gets their way.
But you know, like I think the Jrue one could be really bad though. Like he's pretty old. Like I thought Jrue might retire. Like
I thought he said he was going to retire at the end of his contract. That's what he's been saying.
Leverage. I guess a seventh of $1 million will make you reconsider, or $1 billion will make you reconsider that. So
he's another guy that like he's going to finish his career with 2 All-Star. What a weird career. 2 All-Star games 10 years apart.
Yeah.
A guy who always was considered like one of the most underrated players until everyone was like, are we sure he's not? Like the poster child of underrated, overrated, back to underrated kind of.
Yeah.
And he's going to end up making, I mean, how much has he made so far in his career? He's on his second max contract right now, right?
Maybe even third, to be honest.
I think
he got one with the Pelicans. Didn't he?
We never paid him, but yeah, the Bucks extended him.
Yeah,
so he might have been extended. He might have done the mini extensions off of those, where it's like you pick up 2. Like, all right, we'll take 2 more years on that. When there's 2 years, like Jimmy Butler does it all the time. James Harden did it all the time with Houston.
Yeah.
I'm looking up his career earnings right now because I'm curious to see how much money he is. Up until this season, he made $245 million, and he just signed $135 million. He's going to be close to $400 million in his career.
I obviously want the Celtics to win the title. If the Celtics do not win the title, I need Jrue to have the worst playoff series of his life, because I need Bill Simmons to be in piss and shit. He and Russillo are getting a little too comfy. They're like full mask off. Remember when like Simmons and Russillo used to pretend that they liked Marcus Smart?
Yes.
Like 2 podcasts ago, they were like, and fucking Marcus Smart, who sucks and was actively destroying the team, and they were just sucking off Jrue Holiday. Sucking off Jrue Holiday so fucking bad. If the Celtics do lose, I need Jrue Holiday to shoot like 43% from the true shooting. Like I need water. I would prefer they win, but I need that. If there's a reason the Celtics lose, I need that to be the reason, so I can at least have my little fucking silver lining that Bill has to remember that. So
you're gonna own the libs.
I'm gonna own the libs.